Once you look at your problem, you'll notice that you'll be given some information. You'll be given a triangle, and then you'll also be given usually two different sets of given information. The given information needs to be added to your cheat chart, which, as you can see right in the center of the screen, is already made for us. So once you add that given information, you must put in the reason section that it was given. Given means that there is no logical processes in it, it was just given. So now that you have those two things written down, you'll need to look at your picture of your triangle and ask yourself, does this shape share any sides, does it share any angles, or does it share a point? If the answer is yes to any of those questions, you have to write down the answer in the T-chart and then give a reason why. For us, our shape does share a side. So that is called the reflexive property. Now that we look at our T-chart, we have three different congruent symbols. 3 is the magic number when making a T-chart. You have to have 3 before you can actually prove your shape. So now we can write down what we have to prove. Then we can figure out what our congruence property. The correct answer should be side angle side congruent. So you know your triangle is congruent.
Hello, and welcome to problem type 2. First, write the given information down. As you know from the previous one, this information is not changeable. It has no purpose at all other than to help you solve this problem. If not all of the given information is congruent, then you must use it to prove that the sides or angles are congruent. Next, you look at the picture and ask yourself, does the shape share a side? Does it share an angle? Or does it share a point? Since the triangle shares a side, the rule that you are following is the reflexive. For line BD bisects AC, use the definition of segment bisector to prove that the line AD is congruent to the line CD. So now that you have 3 congruent sides, you must look at the picture after diagramming out what sides and angles are congruent. You then ask yourself, is the object side 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 congruent, side angle side congruent, angle side angle congruent, or angle angle side congruent? The correct answer to this question would be side 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 congruent.
Starting out, we have this quadrilateral. Inside the quadrilateral, there's 2 triangles that we have to prove congruent. What we have to prove is triangle QTP is congruent to triangle QSR. We are given the information QP equals QR and QT equals QS. So we take the information, we put it down as a statement, and then for the reason it's given. Next, we have to figure out what else is congruent. Is there any points, sides, or angles that are congruent to each other that we can use? For this one, the third congruency is QP equals QR. Those are both segments. This is called definition of congruent segments. Segment QT equals segment QS, definition of congruent segment. So now if you look at it, we have 1, 2 congruent signs. We also have 2 equal signs, but those don't count in the final outcome. Angle Q equals angle Q. This also might sound repetitive, but from last time, it's also a reflexive property. Now that we have our 3 congruent signs, we can prove our 2 triangles are equal to each other. Write down triangle QTP is congruent to triangle QSR. The reason for this triangle being congruent is the side angle side property.
Now, in this one, if you look, you see 2 triangles, 2 equilateral triangles that meet at a point. T is the midpoint of line UR, or line RU. Line RS is parallel to line UV. The first given information, of which is T is the midpoint of line RU, you can use the definition of midpoint, congruency theory, and say that RT is congruent to UT. Line 2, of which is line RS, is parallel to UV. If the lines are parallel, then the alternate interior angles are congruent. And you can say that for both lines 4 and 5 when saying angle RST is congruent to angle UVT, and also angle SRT is congruent to angle VUT. Next, you can prove that your triangle's VTU is congruent to triangle STR. You have to prove that RS is congruent to UV, of which has to use a thing called CPCTC. Refer to your booklet for the definition of the acronym CPCTC property.